Yay, I got the job. Good for you. Now I get to submit to labour 8 hours a day merely to be allowed to survive. You have to work 8 hours a day to survive in Western countries? I don't think so. You have to work 8 hours a day to live a comfortable middle-class lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle that would make communists hate you and that under a socialist government you wouldn't be able to live, but okay. Somebody doesn't like working. If nobody worked, everyone would die, but fine. Forget all those other applicants who also needed the job. You can't have two people doing the exact same job at the same time without defying the laws of physics. They can get a different job, who also need the job in order to gain access to food, water and shelter. Because we don't have unemployment benefits or anything like that, do we? I got it, I am happy, so you should be, you have a job. Now I'm going to get kids and buy a house. Yeah, I know. Buying a house. Even cavemen had caves, but you can't even own your own house under communism. Go figure. And you can't support kids very well either. I love my country. Well, probably very patriotic. Not there's anything wrong with that. Might be a decent country. I am free. Well, yes, you are. Slavery's over? Yes, it is. Homeless people are lazy. Not always the case, but there are a large number of homeless people who are admittedly lazy and will tell you that they are perfectly happy not working because they can just go around the streets and drink as much alcohol as they want. Or live in a small flat paid for by the government and drink as much alcohol as they want. Everything is okay. So you're saying that under socialism everything would be okay? There's no such thing as a utopia. Nobody's claiming everything's okay, but it seems fairly optimal. Society makes sense. Yes, it does. Things are reasonably rational. 5 things capitalists will never understand. An unregulated market doesn't mean a free market where everyone will have the same opportunities to success. Since when have we had an unregulated market? You're arguing against a Victorian system. Even Margaret Thatcher wasn't an anarcho-capitalist. You're not entitled to someone's hard work, ever. That's a bit thick for people who want to redistribute property, but okay. You're not entitled to someone's hard work, but if they want to work for you and you're paying them a decent wage for doing it, then everyone's a winner. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you did anything for the society and you're entitled for not paying any taxes. Don't criticise the grammar because that's ad hominem. No, they didn't necessarily do anything for society. But creating jobs is doing something for society, so some of them do. And in what country do rich people not pay any taxes? Like, tax dodging does happen, but it's not legal, and an enormous proportion of the taxes are paid for by the richest people. So I don't know what you're talking about here. Again, you just seem to be arguing the Victorian system. Capitalism didn't make your stuff. Labour did. And labour is better organised under capitalism than socialism. And done more efficiently. But okay. Often underpaid ones in second world countries in horrible working conditions. Your only way to solve that is to go into those other countries and invade them and change their laws. Do you want to do that? Failing that, it will always be a problem no matter what economic system you have in your own country, so that's irrelevant. 5. Capitalism will lead to fascism. Always. Italy and Germany aren't always, and that may possibly have had something to do with the fact that there was a First World War, you know, what was at the time the largest conflict humans had ever been involved in. And it was a reaction to Marxism as well. The only reason that fascism had any weight is because people were so terrified of what could happen under socialism because of the Soviets. They were willing to do anything to suppress the left. If it hadn't have been for Marxism, fascism would never have been able to happen either. And I can't see Western Europe and the United States degrading into fascism anytime soon. Even if Donald Trump does want to censor the NBC, he simply doesn't have the power to. Where do you start with this one? You know, I don't like Pinochet just on moral principle, but sometimes I can feel almost sympathetic toward him, and when I saw this it was one of those moments. They've placed communism on the end of freedom for starters. Okay, let's go by the left and right. It's not too bad when it comes to left and right. Well, I think fascism technically would be more near the centre. It's sort of authoritarian centrism. But anarchism on the left doesn't make any sense. Because if there's no government telling you what to do, someone's going to build a factory, and someone's going to say, will you work in my factory? And somebody's going to say, yes, I will work in your factory. And then we can sell the goods, and the person who owns the factory will make a profit. And because it's under anarchism, and because there's no government, nobody's going to stop you from doing that. So anarchism will inevitably lead to capitalism. Then, the bottom thing, freedom and slavery. On the capitalist side, that seems fairly reasonable. Monarchism probably is actually less authoritarian than fascism, to be quite honest, but I think both communism and socialism are more authoritarian than conservatism, let's be honest. And communism often led to slavery, not freedom. Well, anarchism would be ultimate freedom, to be fair. But this is just so mixed up and reordered, and then aligning freedom with the left and slavery with the right is just utterly ridiculous and meaningless. Then at the bottom it says, class societies, non-class societies. When has a non-class society ever existed? It's not even possible. It just defies the laws of human group behaviour. And trying to get rid of class just leads to more classes that are even worse. Finally, we have this Simpsons one. A worker should be remunerated for the true value of their labour. What is the true value of your labour? What is the true value of an hour milking cows versus an hour packing pies in a box in a factory? What's the relative value of the two? And how much is it worth in terms of how much you get back? How many boxes of eggs is an hour of packing pies worth? Answer me that. There simply isn't an answer, because it's all based on how well it's organised and how much stuff can be made. To say the true value of your labour is kind of meaningless when under a profit society you actually get more value out of your labour. The wealthy elite exploit the working class. I don't see being paid as a form of exploitation, especially when the government enforces minimum wage, and the idea of you being so upset about there being an elite. I don't value my life relative to other people. I value my life for what it is. Because as long as you value your life relative to other people, you'll never be happy, no matter what economic system you're under. That social, political and economic ideology is really something I wonder what it is. It isn't really anything, it's not necessarily superior. It's progressive, yet courageous. The word progressive is rather strange, because it just means change. If the government enforced a law that we all had to spend an hour a day standing on our heads, it would be progressive, because it's different. But progressive does not equal better. Neither does courageous. Fascism was progressive and courageous. This reminds me of mid-19th century philosophical thinking. Yes, it reminds me of some 20th century economic reality as well. Didn't go too well. Society should be run for the good of the common people. Rush into the sugarcoating of the good of the common people. But let's reread those first 4 words. Society should be run. It's a great assertion, and it is glossed over instantly. We're all immediately convinced that society should be run because the good of the common people. No, society should not be run. It's not moral to run society. I don't want the government telling me what to do with my life. It shouldn't be run at all. People should have their own autonomy. I haven't been empowered like this since trade unions were introduced. Well, trade unions might be a good thing, but empowerment equaling good is another bizarre idea. You doubtless feel empowered if you stood in the middle of a train station with an assault rifle, but that doesn't mean you're gonna immediately benefit society. Class awareness intensifies. Class awareness. Again, it's just pure envy. If your class is happy, who cares about other classes? Who really cares about what other classes are doing when you're happy? It's just pure envy. They love me, I'm accepted. Yeah, because they haven't put you under scrutiny. I don't need this mask anymore. Yes, you do. You're hiding behind nice-sounding words, and the reality is horrible. Behold, the ideological movement is me. Communism. Kids gasping. It's communism, get him. This young... well, let's do a Sargon of Akkad and call him the yellow thing. He's the typical reactionary. He doesn't have any arguments. He just goes off based on names. And gives credibility to communism just because you can't refute it. But if you'd analysed it, you would have already come to the same conclusions as you have, just without the mask having to be taken off. And then they run away, and it's captioned the mystery ideology. It's not much of a mystery at all if you actually look into it, but just no.